Hi everybody, I'm Tracy Reedy. The website's tracetv.tv. We're having a lot of fun today talking about social media and the impact that the different forms of social media are having on people's businesses. And I'm joined today by our good friend Tony Cecala, who's a cognitive psychologist and a small business consultant. Thanks for being with us again, Tony.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Great. Tell me, how can a business person, let's say runs a small business, family-owned business or whatever, and really has no idea of how to get started or how social media can help them, what would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would say is not to be afraid of social media. Certainly, there are a lot of reports about identity theft and viruses and all that sort of thing. But if you're careful about your passwords, I think that's sort of right up front. So just tell people, don't use passwords that are weak. Don't use passwords that are your name or your pet's name. Hackers really get in and they can mess around with that. But that aside, you really should just jump in and get involved with the big three. Get involved with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've found that there's people that I've talked to, sometimes they go, well, I just don't know where to start, or they're kind of overwhelmed by it. And one of the things that I tell them is of those big three, pick one that has the most appeal to you and start with that one and kind of get comfortable with it, and then move on and branch out to the other two. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, exactly. Pick one, get comfortable with it, and it's always good to observe and to watch, what are the natives doing? You want to do what the natives are doing. You want to be in touch with them and communicate with them in the language that they're communicating. You don't want to be a promotional bullhorn in any of these social media. So you have to learn when to speak, when to promote, how much self-promotion is expected or tolerated. And probably the best bet is to work with LinkedIn, which is a very professional network. There's a lot of professional referrals going on in LinkedIn, and there are a lot of groups. The groups are fantastic. Joining several groups within your field of expertise will teach you how to communicate.
I've also noticed that actually paying attention to people's questions on those groups, like I joined a bunch of groups and I didn't ever post anything at the beginning, but I started to pay attention to what other people were posting on there, and then I would start to maybe respond to a question that somebody had. But I try not to overtly sell whatever it is that I'm selling there. I try to actually answer somebody's question. And then the other thing is to actually ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're new to LinkedIn or you're new to social media or something, join some of these groups and actually post a question on there, because people like it when they feel like they have something to offer. And if you ask a question of the masses, a certain percentage of them are bound to give you an answer. It might not be the greatest answer, but it's an answer, right?
Well, that's a great technique. In fact, if you ask a question and you're interested in the answer, suddenly you have a relationship with the person. They're answering, they feel like an expert, you're getting some expertise given to you, and you're opening up that dialogue, and that's not self-promotional. What you're really doing is you're joining the community, and it's probably the best way is to ask questions at first and become a familiar face. And then when the day comes that you have a video or something interesting to post, and you say, well, by the way, this is what I do, and this week we've posted this cool video. People will say, oh, I know who he is. And I want to go see that. Right.
There's a lot of people who say, I just don't have time for this stuff. Why would I spend all this time? And my answer is, well, if you're looking for work, number one, then your time better be spent doing something that's going to bring you some value. And number two, it really doesn't take that much time if you're sort of organized about what you do.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. People say they can get lost in the social media. They can read and read and read and waste a lot of time. But I find that if you are organized and if you look for the tools, there are tools. You can use the tools that will help you to filter. You don't have to read everyone's Twitter stream because it's impossible, especially if you have a lot of followers. But you can filter out, and you can search for certain keywords, and you can just follow particular friends that have an important message. If you use certain tools, you can schedule tweets, which is very powerful. If you know you have something coming up and you want to present an organized promotional message, you can schedule tweets on particular days, and a lot of those tools are free. There's a Hootsuite, Tweet Later. There's several of these that are very powerful and free.
Yeah, that's great. And above all, people, try to have fun with it. I mean, life's too short not to have fun. If you're sitting at your computer doing this stuff and it starts to feel like a job, my advice is go take a little break, have a beer, come back later. But, you know, make it fun. It can be productive and fun at the same time.
Exactly. Well, that's a very good point. You know, if you are frustrated and you don't feel like you're making progress, you might just put that out there and say, hey, you know, this is a little bit new to me. I'm a little frustrated. And that authenticity will come through. And people will say, oh, you know, I've been there, and they can help you with that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Tony. Tell us how people can find out more about you.
Well, you can go to my website, TonyCecala.com, or follow me on Twitter, Tony Cecala.
Thanks a bunch. Have a good day.